Hi, I'm here to talk about X-Men First Class. Something that I think is interesting is that I think that First Class is a really good film, but there are times where when I think of X-Men, I don't think much about First Class. I think that's because when I think of the X-Men cast, I do think of the cast from the previous films. I feel like they've become so definitive to me that I sometimes don't think about the cast that came afterwards, even though they're really good. I have such a strong attachment to Patrick Stewart as Professor X and Ian McKellen as Magneto that it does feel a bit hard for me to imagine other actors in those roles, even though it makes sense for the younger versions to be played by other actors. And I do think that James McAvoy as Charles Xavier, Michael Fassbender as Eric Lencher really do work. And First Class is a very interesting film, and it was the first of the main X-Men films that wasn't focused on Wolverine, and a lot more focus given to Charles and Eric, which I think really works for First Class, and their dynamic is fascinating. The different levels of their connection, their friendship, their different ways of going about things. Really fascinating stuff going on between them. A lot new stuff for Mystique Raven. She feels like a much more fleshed out character than before, given a lot more personality, more to do, more character development. All that stuff's really interesting. Moira McTaggart, really likable, really good in the film. Uh, the main villain, Sebastian Shaw, is entertaining enough. Not as interesting as some of the other villains, but I think he works. I really like the character of Emma Frost, but as a character like Cyclops, she really didn't get enough to do in the films. Um, a lot of the other characters feel like supporting characters, and they have some fun moments. First Class is a very enjoyable film. Um, Even if it doesn't feel like classic definitive X-Men for me, I think it has a very engaging story, and I do like seeing the focus given to some characters that wouldn't normally get a lot of the focus. And it was cool to see an X-Men film that wasn't carried by Wolverine, where he is not one of the main characters. He doesn't take over things. And I really like Wolverine, but I don't want him taking over every X-Men film. So I think it was very bold of First Class to be about other characters, and I think that it worked. So First Class might not feel like one of the big definitive X-Men films for me, but it is a film that I do think quality wise is a really good one.